Hi everyone, this is Amber Patterson. This discussion for this week is on responsibility centers. So I'm going to answer these two questions. How are responsibility centers beneficial to healthcare organizations, and what components are necessary to make a responsible center operate properly? According to Baker & Baker, a responsibility center include revenue centers, cost centers, and profit centers. A revenue center exists when a manager is responsible for revenue inflow, but not expenses. And a cost center exists when a manager is responsible for the opposite, which is expenses and not revenue. And of course, a profit center exists when the manager is responsible for both the revenue and the expenses of the center. I think of profit centers as where the other two collide, the cost and the revenue centers. Not all managers need to see everything, and that's why some aren't responsible for revenues or expenses, but so some managers don't need to see what money's coming in. They need to be responsible for expenses and vice versa. It is not possible to understand the financial health or potential of an organization without first understanding cash flow limitations and expectations. Responsibility centers are beneficial to healthcare organizations because they are integral to the concept of delivering care, paying bills, and getting paid for services. If we aren't providing quality care and getting paid for it, then what are we doing? We're obviously not successful if that's the case. Responsibility centers are critical to understanding performance. These centers provide financial indicators relating to performance, and it helps to show us the health of the organization, which is top priority. According to Loredana Siralu, in measuring financial performance types of responsibility centers, setting up responsibility centers is not easy and requires segmentation consistent with organizational structure, a great knowledge of the functions of an organization, and special attention to the optimal number of the hierarchy levels to achieve decentralization of activities and delegation of responsibilities. This concept, although fairly simple, has been very difficult for me, and I have been working in a type of this position for going on 10 years now. All of my professional career, I have worked for 3 companies with one owner with the same type of business model. I've had a little difficulty carving out cost center and revenue centers with everything, when everything to me should kind of generate around responsibility centers. And that must be that my particular practice, where we work in a very centralized type of model, it is not necessarily the way I like it. I would actually like to see it much more decentralized, but centralization is the preferred method of the owner. So I execute and carry out the things in which he would like to have done. As a result, we don't have a cost center or a revenue center. We have more of a profit center model where the administrators are responsible for both the inflow and outflow at all times. I do understand, though, even though this has been difficult for me to kind of grasp this, because when you've been in one type of position as your whole adult career, it's hard to conceptualize another way until you've kind of experienced. So I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around this, and I'm really, really trying hard. So an example I would have is we have a director of nursing over our ASC. She's very clinical view in nature, obviously, who she would be a candidate if I were to say was a manager in a call center. She would be responsible for expenses when it comes to medications, when it comes to supplies and equipment and those sorts of things. But like I said, we're very centralized, so it all falls on our administrative team. Despite my inexperience, I understand how important it is to carve out these centers in order to closely monitor them. A manager cannot do his or her job if he or she is unable to identify problems, trends, surpluses, etc. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, "But all things should be done decently and in order." I really liked this verse. I thought it was very applicable to what we're learning, And my immediate thought was responsibility centers provide the tools to achieve the order, and managers provide the decent work, having the company's and stakeholders' interests at heart. Thank you.